2019, so 2 years ago, right before the pandemic. Let's listen to what Fauci had to say.
And the best way for me to prevent getting an infectious disease and having to have you as my doctor is what? Wearing a mask.
No.
I'm going to do that. If I can see they're getting ready to sneeze or cough, walk away.
You avoid all the paranoid aspects and do something positive.
Okay, so notice how as soon as he brought up the mask thing, and this isn't necessarily new, Fauci was not one of these guys that were like uber mask everywhere to stop infectious diseases. Even at the beginning of the pandemic, he said that you shouldn't be doing it because it's giving you this false sense of security. You touch your face more. There's also other stuff that he was talking about back in February where he would say that like people that were like what they deem as asymptomatic were not ever usually spreaders, or rather people that were really the driving force for a pandemic. Right. But you see how he immediately corrects him like, no. All that's paranoia bullshit. Right. You need to take care of your body. Let's listen to what else he says.
A, good diet. B, you don't smoke. I know you don't drink, at least not very much. So that's pretty good. Get some exercise. I know that you don't get as much exercise as you should.
That's correct.
Get good sleep. I think that the normal, low-tech, healthy things are the best thing that you can do, David, is stay healthy.
All right.
Okay, so he asked a question about infectious disease. Fauci says what I and guys like myself have been saying through this entire thing about health and really infectious diseases, but especially with this, when you're dealing with the respiratory illnesses. The best way that you can deal with that is taking care of your body.
No, not at all, Mark. There has not been any indication that putting a mask on and wearing a mask for a considerable period of time has any deleterious effects on oxygen exchange or anything like that. Not at all.
Yeah, and my understanding is this has also been studied even in people when they're running and exercising and things like that. And I haven't seen anything that suggests that there would be any issue. But I mean, you obviously are the expert on this.
Well, no, I mean, I wear a mask when I'm outside all the time, particularly making sure that I don't remove it when I'm close to people.
Nigga.
And it doesn't bother me. I even run with a mask on. Sometimes it gets a little moist there, depending on the cloth that you're wearing. But there's nothing to indicate that wearing a mask has deleterious effects.
People should not be walking around with masks. Let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and masks are protective, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
Mark, there has not been any indication that putting a mask on and wearing a mask for a considerable period of time has any deleterious effects.
There are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask and they keep touching their face.
And can you get some schmutz sort of staying inside there?
Of course.
You do not need to wear a mask indoors if, in fact, you've been vaccinated. Good that you're vaccinated, but in a situation where you have people indoors, particularly crowded, you should wear a mask. So even if you are vaccinated, you should wear a mask.
That if, in fact, you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, you are protected, and you do not need to wear a mask outdoors or indoors.
When the children go out into the community, you want them to continue to wear masks. You know, if you look at children outside, particularly when they're with the family, walking down the street, playing a game or what have you, don't have to wear a mask.
The Academy of Pediatric actually makes that recommendation that children should be wearing masks from 2 years old onward.
And you're asking now, if your child is a member of your household, can you walk outdoors with your child without a mask? According to that chart, the answer is yes.
But the child can't, not to beat it to death.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Because now the CDC says, I think I've got this right. 1 mask is better than 0 masks. 2 masks is better than 1 mask. But you don't have to have double masks. Is that right?
It became clear that cloth coverings that you didn't have to buy in a store, that you could make yourself, were adequate.
And then you want it to fit better. So one of the ways you could do it, if you would like to, is put a cloth mask over, which actually here and here and here, where you could get leakage in, is much better contained.
And are you
Sometimes those things were inconvenient truths for people, and there was pushback against me. So if you are trying to, get at me as a public health official and a scientist, you're really attacking not only Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're attacking science. And anybody that looks at what's going on
Unbelievable.
clearly sees that. You have to be asleep not to see that.
Unbelievable.
That is what's going on.
Unbelievable.
Science and the truth are being attacked.
Unbelievable.
Attacking not only Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Let's listen one more time. And I'm sorry if it's coming out of one side. That's just how the video was.
There was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity, and basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection, even better than the vaccines alone. What are people to make of that? So as we talk about vaccine mandates, I get calls all the time. People say, I've already had COVID, I'm protected, and now the study says maybe even more protected than the vaccine alone. Should they also get the vaccine? How do you make the case to them?
That's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that.
Okay. Now this motherfucker here, he done had a lot to say about everything, right? Put him on TVs, throwing first pictures. He's on the cover of magazines, doing all these interviews. And now all of a sudden, you ain't got no firm answer. I wonder why. Fuck did he just say?
So even though relatively speaking, compared to an adult, they do not get as seriously ill. We have lost more children from SARS-CoV-2 than we ever lose for influenza. And we vaccinate children against influenza. So even
okay, and so just to preface it, guys, this man just told a fucking flat out lie. And I want you to process that really quick. What he's just said was a lie. It is not true. Yet he said it so easily, and we're supposed to listen and hang on to every word that this man says as if it's gospel. What he said was not true. He states, yes, relative to adults, they're not getting sick as much, kids in comparison to them, that is. But with influenza, of which we vaccinate, not forcefully, by the way, children on, he's saying that we've seen more deaths from COVID, SARS-CoV-2, in comparison to influenza. That is a false statement. Now, of course, we're going to look at it here because the person that, of course, brought it to the attention, Guy Benson, he says in 4 of the last 8 flu seasons, CDC estimates show more pediatric deaths from flu than we've seen among kids with, and that's obviously using the term with, COVID throughout the entire year and a half of the pandemic. And you can see right here, when you look at like last year, you look at 2019 to 20, you look at 2018 to 19. Now, this is one thing that he might actually end up doing. Because the flu has virtually disappeared, he may try to spin it and say, well, I was talking about this past year. But he can't really do that because that's not what he said. He says than we've ever seen, or something along those lines. But that's not true. The data is right here. When you look at, for example, 2009, 2010, over 1,200 people died of the flu. 1,200 kids. You look at 2012 to 2013, almost 1,200 people. You know? You look at, 2018, 400. We got 2017, 2018, 600. 2014 and 2015, 800. What are you talking about?